accept our audit, and I'll let you understand superintendent that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as of the last council meeting on December 14th, 2023, we were presented with the audit by Randall L. Hunt for the year ending September 30th, 2020. And at that, in discussion and no further comments during the month, I have a resolution to accept that audit. And for the public's notice, that audit will be made public after that, as it is a public document after that. For information request, of course, receive a copy of that audit. Of course, I will say that the audit shows this town in very good, excellent financial condition at the time. There were statements by the audit of accountant's management letter, statement of deficiencies and weaknesses, and by this resolution, we are hereby authorized to submit the audit to the Alabama Department of Public Examiners Audit Repository. With that, we are a town in good standing as per the audit itself, and I have this resolution to accept the audit so that it can be made public.
Have a motion to accept the audit. Mr. Strickland.
Yes, please.
Mayor Al Cadell, yes. Chris Strickland?
Yes.
Ricky Haggard?
Yes.
Carl Carter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And I have that resolution for circulation by the end of the meeting.
Next thing on our agenda, we had a CD mature on December the 31st, and in the amount of $1,351,736.53. And Farmers and Merchants has offered 4.5%. I've checked around, that is the standard going rate this time. I feel like that would be a good opportunity for this town to enter into a resolution for immediate consideration for a one-year certificate of abatement. Mr. Stanford, you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, since this is a resolution for immediate consideration, I would like two motions. One for immediate consideration that needs a unanimous vote, and then if you would, then a motion after that, should they decide to go into immediate consideration for the motion to accept the certificate of deposit with Farmers and Merchants as the depository as presented in the resolution.
I know you had some, you feel good about the interest rate at the present market.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, right now, 6-month CDs are about 4.85. Actually, 1-year deposits are at 5 or lower. And then, beyond that, we're looking at right around above 4. So this is a good rate as offered by Farmers and Merchants.
We have a motion for immediate consideration.
Yes.
Have a second.
And since this needs to be a unanimous vote, we'll need a roll call.
For immediate consideration.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Allen Cadell, yes. Chris Strickland?
Yes.
Ricky Haggard?
Yes.
Carl Carter?
Yes.
And then we need a motion to adopt the resolution at this time. Strickland,
Yes.
Ricky Haggard,
Yeah.
Carl Carter. And I got a text from Beth Ray a few minutes ago, said she thinks she'll be here tonight, she's just gonna be a little late getting here, so.
She's got an accident in her yard, so she'll be.
Okay.
might not be here.
Okay. But if not, we'll hopefully get her paperwork signed, and we'll sign our resolution, and then we can get that completed.
Mr. Mayor, I do have an original for your
Yes.
circulation signatures.
Next thing on our agenda is Waterloo Free Library. They wasn't able to be at our last meeting, but the Lauderdale County Commission, toward the end of this past year, made a donation to each library in each community. So for the Waterloo Free Library, they made a donation of $3,000 to be used by the free library for its advancements and any needs that they might have. So, here's you
Thank you very
the
much.
late Christmas present.
All right,
Do we
thank
have?
Very good. And we appreciate that. We appreciate the Lauderdale County Commission thinking of us and supporting us. The next thing on the agenda is the Waterloo Schools softball team is asked if we'd like to support them by purchasing a softball banner for $200 this year in support of them. I think it's something we've traditionally done in the past, and we'll see if we'd like to continue that. We have a motion by Mr. Strickland, second. Claire Allen, Devin, yes. Chris Strickland?
Yes.
Haggard?
Yeah.
Carl Carter? Thank you very much. I'm sure they will appreciate our continued support. Next thing on the agenda is the comments of the mayor, and I think the first thing we're all aware of the weather situation we're in now and next week, so let's all be, try to check on people around us, and if we can help each other out in any way, let's feel free to do so. We'll try to help each other out, because it is gonna be, with some forecasts, anyway, next week extremely cold, and please remember your pets and everything, because they need attention to, just like we do, so that's, one of the things, hopefully we'll get to it in good shape, but if we can help each other out, we need to do so very much so. I think that's all that I have. Council have anything they'd like to bring up? Anybody from, yes, sir.
I got a question. Did I hear you say that audit was for 2020?
Yes, it was, as you probably know, or may not know, the town has been working since the term of Don Raper to complete an audit for the town that has not had a financial audit completed by a CPA since going back to 2015. Statutorily, that's incorrect. And since I've become town attorney, I've been pressing for that. Don Raper has pressed for that. And since then, this council has been diligent trying to press for that. There have been problems in constructing the audit because of the shape of the financial condition of the actual records of the town, until Mayor Cadell and this council pressed to make sure that was completed. So Randall Hunt was engaged to complete the audit during that time. So a 2020 audit was completed and has been supplied at this point. The change in, I believe the statute, don't hold me to this, the 114585 requires now, by its new amendments, that in towns our size, that audits be completed in every 2 years. So Mr. Hunt, after this particular tax season, will begin a audit for the period of 2022 and 2023. That will then bring us up to date. So besides compilation reports, we will not need the next fiscal audit to be reported to the Alabama Public Examiner's Office until 2025.
I was just curious why it wasn't more current one, and what would be the problem in having one every year?
You had,
Most nonprofits.
well, two things. You'll have to talk to previous administrations about that, why it wasn't done until then. But, with Mr. Hunt on board now and the way the current law as it stands, though a compilation report is required every year, that Mr. Hunt will be completing should the town, continue to engage him as they, appear to be willing to do, then it will be on a steady basis after that.
Yes, ma'am.
So does the completion of this audit make a difference in the town, compiling a budget? Or do you have to wait for another audit, or?
No, actually, it does help.
Okay.
And Mr. Hunt has agreed to help the town in being able to complete further budgets, as operating budgets. As we discussed before, it's been on a capital-related expenditure budget basis until now. So the town is looking forward to having a more complete budget going forward, which is something that the town hasn't done in a long time. So this council and the mayor has been diligent in moving towards that.
I don't claim to be an expert on this, but, you know, I work for many nonprofits, and it's just standard protocol to have an audit every year. And I didn't know if that applies to governments or not, but it seems like it would.
Like I said, it is statutory, and a town should have well, again, there's been change in law, but a town should have at least a compilation every year, and a town our size, an audit submitted to the Board of Examiners every 2 years.
And it's a good practice that, you know, what this council is trying to do is try to get in a better business practice. And one of those is having the audit when we're supposed to have it. And it also is a great way of showing transparency in everything that we do. And I think that's more, benefits everyone better if they feel like there's transparency and they know that the books are in good shape, and the finances are in good shape.
And to add to that, finances of the town of Waterloo are in very good shape.
Yes, ma'am.
I have several questions. Okay. In January of 2021, 3 years ago, was when the audit was initially ordered, and it was ordered to go back to 2017. Why was the audit not completed that far back?
Actually, the research was done back in 2015, but as to the years that were compiled, it would be an inordinate expense and practically, according to the accountant, impractical to try to create audits for years that were so far back in past, but to compile all the information that was available through bank records that were supplied by the various banks to come up to a current year, which was 2020 at the time. Going back to 2021 would have been the prior fiscal year of 2020.
Mhm.
So going forward with that was what Mr. Hunt was tasked with.
Okay, but the council hired Lisa Parker to come in and clean up the QuickBooks so that an audit could be completed going back to 2017. And the council ordered the mayor Simpson at the time to hire Ms. Parker to work with Mr. Hunt because he had requested her since she was familiar with the books. So she was not brought on at that time. Can anybody speak to that?
Well, she was for a period of time, but I think the most important is that given Mr. Hunt's request to start, or for the year to be audited, essentially, and the books brought up to current status, to go back to 2015 and come forward to that to get to the 2020 fiscal year.
Okay, so were you saying that there are bank statements missing from prior to 2020?
No.
Okay.
There are no bank statements. No.
Okay, I mean,
But that doesn't mean that that there are records available that could verify expenses or even verify income in some respects to that. So it was sort of a compilation up to that point. But I think an accountant could explain that better now.
okay. And did they explain why it took 3 years when initially they said it would be 6 to 18 months?
Because they had to go back 8 years.
And couldn't find documents or?
Some documents were not available, some could not be found, and so it made the process much harder.
Anybody else have a question? Tommy? Yes, ma'am.
I do. I had submitted, a couple of freedom of information requests, and one of them was for, and this is just general information really, but one of my requests was for copies of all the minutes and financials that were readily given out in meetings. And the reason I asked for that was for posterity's sake. As you know, or most of you may or may not know, we've started some town archives that we keep out in the town hall. And one of the things that we wanted to do was go back, we were doing some oral histories. We wanted to go back and have, information available for future generations to go back and look at. So, one of the things I wanted to ask is that when we attend meetings like this and we ask questions, I would hope that everybody doesn't necessarily think we're being nosy as much as we're trying to get that question and answer recorded, for future generations. As an example, I would like to ask, what's the status of the sidewalks? And so, when I ask that question, I'm hoping that somebody that records it said, I'd like a better answer for posterity's sake than, well, it's gonna take a couple more meetings. Because in the future, somebody's gonna be looking at those minutes, and they may wanna know, I know we got a great grant for sidewalks, what's the status? And we need a little bit more information. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that along with oral histories, we also have, we've got a guy named Hugh Smith. I don't know if anybody knows him. Anybody know Hugh Smith? He goes by the name Mr. Cemetery Man. And he goes around to all the cemeteries in Lauderdale County and keeps track of all the burials, the information, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, he has agreed that he's going to give us all the records of births and deaths and anything pertaining to that to each of the cemeteries in our area. So we will have that put in the archives. As you know, we've got yearbooks, and so we're putting a call out to anybody that has any information that they would like. For the future, please feel free to, be able to look at the archives. That's what we wanna do. And so, like I said, what I'm really asking is that perhaps we could place a little bit better emphasis on detailing the minutes so that someone comes back and reads it, they'll learn something from it. So, can I ask what the status of the sidewalk
Yes,
is?
you can.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've talked to White Randy Collins, but one of the things, the last time I talked to him, that was of concern is the growing expense of material and concrete. So, I'm gonna have to get an updated cost figure and see where it is now.
So if I remember correctly, just so this will be recorded, we, the town, have committed to how much towards this grant of our own monies?
It's in the neighborhood of $50,000.
Okay.
Now, Here's one of the things, it is, and this is in construction in general, not just our project. And anybody that's doing any kind of construction knows this, is the expense of materials is getting out of sight. So how do we proceed with keeping it around keeping the finances in realm to where it's logical for us to do? Even though we, you know, when we got the grant issued to us, is it still a purpose if we have to spend a larger amount of money to do? So that's something we're gonna have to make a decision on, or do we take on a little along and have somebody come in themselves and repair it?
Does the grant have a use by date on it, or?
It does, but we're still in that date, but I cannot tell you exactly when the date is off the top of my head. Do not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they, and I guess a lot of the sidewalks I look at, it's not that they're so broken up as they are just settling and
Yeah,
moving.
yeah.
Have y'all ever thought about that? We did this a lot back in Mississippi Foundation for this one, clay back there, but, have y'all ever thought about foam injection just to raise those up and kind of leveling the ones that are there? Cause they can go in there with, drill a 5/8 hole in it,
Yeah.
to shoot that stuff in there, and they can raise them and move them wherever you want to. I didn't know if it was something y'all might look into to see if it, you know, would save some money on some of them. Maybe we don't have to replace them all, maybe we can just replace the worst ones or something like that. Just a thought. We did a lot of that, back where we're from. It worked real well for driveways and stuff like that, so I don't see where it would work, you know, on the sidewalk.
Yeah, you see us commercials all the time.
Yeah, we can do a lot of things work.
You know, I think I remember this was voted on maybe as long as a year ago. I
Yeah.
think the big advantage was that you all had secured a grant that's gonna pay for about 80% of it. And, you know, perhaps, I don't know, a year has gone by and nothing's been done. And, you know, sure, costs are gonna continue to go
Right.
up the more you delay. Why didn't we get started on it within the last year?
Well, the engineering firm we originally were approached by that secured the original grant money, we didn't feel comfortable with them doing the construction part of it. So we went with another local firm that had done the same project in nearby cities. And we just have not completed it up to this point, moving forward on it.
I was just, you know, it seemed like that the real benefit was the grant that you all secured was great.
Yep.
80% of the cost, and 20 seemed like a bargain. And the city could afford it, and the council voted for it. Seems like we should have moved it.
Well, see, when White Lane and Collins took over the estimate part, and their estimate came back at $547,610. So, was it all material? Was their projection of the cost figured more closely than other people? I don't know that, but I will find out. But, I mean, I got it right here, that's what it was. So, but if you know, pay 20% of that, you're getting up in the $100,000 range. So, at some point in time, we're gonna have to decide is it, how beneficial is it for us to spend $100,000 on sidewalks that we might have an alternative way to repair? You know, there again, I think as a business decision, we have to look at all options.
It's just a matter of opinion that I think the town is worth preserving and making it look.
Oh, I totally agree.
More aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
Those like, and I have read, you know, some of these Facebook, some pushing back on, why do we waste our money on this? And, it just seems like this town could use a little upgrade to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. It's a great town, we're proud of it. And sidewalks are a pretty important city. And there's a lot of things that can be done to make this really pretty city. So that's just my opinion.
We don't disagree with you, it's just a huge financial decision to make.
Is this not a project that should be put out for bid on?
It will have to be when we get a nailed down figure. It'll have to be put out for bid for people to bid on doing the work.
So you're just talking to the engineer about planning the work? Is that what?
Getting up the bid package to do the
Ah,
work.
okay.
Yeah,
So, and that takes a while?
yes.
Yes, okay, that, now I understand a little
They
better.
come down and done some survey work, you know, they came down to be sure that all the sidewalks are in the right of ways of the road, things of that nature. But, you know, we'll get back on this and see where we can go with it and see what kind of hard figure we can get and try to make a good decision toward the sidewalk improvements. Anybody else? Before we adjourn, we need to sign that, or can we sign it? Wait, see, can we sign that after we adjourn?
Yes,
We'll
you've
sign
already
it.
approved.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, anybody? Second. Thank y'all very much.